way it's given. I like it right now the way it is. We have a lot of parity in this conference.
Right.
There are a lot of great coaches, and there are a lot of outstanding athletes in this conference. So, you have to strap up week in and week out to go play. There are no doormats in this conference. So it's a conference where you're going to play some great football. You're going to play a lot of clean football, So I'm excited to see what happens this year. And when and if the conference championship piece comes to light, I'll be excited for that, and I'll be behind it because, like I said, Dr. Thomas is a great commissioner, a great leader.
Absolutely.
And he has done nothing short of, build this conference into one of the top conferences in FCS football.
Absolutely. Now, coming up this weekend, Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff on ESPN, you guys, as I mentioned, he'll hold on to a piece of that MEAC championship from last year. You all will be facing the back-to-back SWAC champion in the Alcorn State Braves, led by Fred McNair. When you look at this team, of course, it's a little different now because Jay Hobson is no longer there, the head coach, and this is Coach McNair's first year. But just based on the players that they have returning, what do you see on tape that you guys really have to key in on this Sunday?
Well, first and foremost, I'll say this. I think, Alcorn made a great choice keeping a familiar face around the program.
Oh, yeah.
For those guys. And, when you look at film, you see an explosive football team. They have a lot of weapons on their football team, and they have some guys that are dangerous. They have a quarterback that's second to none. And they also have a receiver they moved to running back who's an outstanding athlete. He's a dangerous guy. So we have to make sure we know where he is at all times. And I'm, sure they're going to do a lot in their passing game because they have some receivers that can go get the football. So we just have to make sure that we're dialed in and locked into what's going on and ready to play.
Absolutely. Well, it goes down this Sunday, 1 o'clock on ESPN, the MEAC-SWAC Challenge, the Bethune Cookman University Wildcats taking on the Alcorn State University Braves. Coach Terry Sims, the reigning MEAC Coach of the Year. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and good luck this weekend, and we look forward to talking to you in the next few weeks.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
All right. I just have the feeling that this is going to be a great game Sunday, 1 o'clock ESPN, MEAC-SWAC Challenge, Alcorn State versus Bethune Cookman. Shouts out to Coach Terry Sims for jumping on the line with us again this morning. We really appreciate it. And coming up on the other side, going to talk with the executive director of the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl, the game that actually crowns the FCS HBCU National Champion. John Grant joins us on the other side. Happy Saturday morning to you and yours. The HBCU Report is back via Spreaker.com, and we are powered by SportsNewsAndBrews.com.
I heard on the news about that 5-year-old who found his uncle's gun. The kid didn't know it was loaded.
I heard on the news about that 14-year-old girl who was bullied online for like a year. She couldn't take it anymore, so she got her dad's gun from his nightstand.
I heard on the news about that guy who broke into someone's house, stole a gun from the hall closet.
He accidentally shot his cousin in the head.
She killed herself.
And later, killed the owner of the store he was trying to rob.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearms storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
It's the HBCU Report with Rob Calloway.
All right, the first of many Saturday mornings to come right here on the HBCU Report via Spreaker.com, powered by SportsNewsAndBrews.com. Oh, man. Usually, I used to do this thing on Friday night, and it kind of just occupied my Friday, so I was like, I got to find another day to do it. So I chose Saturday. Seems like I should have chose Thursday. It's kind of early for me. But nonetheless, going to get it done. As I mentioned, think this is going to be a good one. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock kickoff on ESPN, the MEAC-SWAC Challenge. But, that game leads to something even bigger. and all of these classics that we have throughout the HBCU football season leads to something bigger. Talking about the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl that happens. It's the first bowl game of the season. It's on ABC. A great game last year in the inaugural game that saw North Carolina A&T down Alcorn State University to win the first HBCU championship on the FCS level. And so right now we're being joined by the man, one of the men, should I say, that actually put all of this together. He is the executive director of the event, talking about John Grant, joining us on the line right now. First of all, Mr. Grant, welcome to the HBCU Report.
Thank you so much, Rob, for having me. I'm just excited to be with everyone.
All right, man. So let's just give a little bit of background about you. You are the former president of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. Is that correct?
Yes. Served in that role with the organization for nearly 14 years.
And, of course, you guys were instrumental in the Atlanta Football Classic, which we had here in Atlanta for years and years and years. So how did, a game like the Atlanta Football Classic prepare you for a leadership role in handling something as big as the Celebration Bowl?
Well, we had the privilege of really being involved with the Atlanta Football Classic from its inception. The first game actually being called, the first two games, the Ebony Classic, when it was started in the late 1980s, early 1990s. And as a member of the organization, I work with our members from that inaugural game forward. But as I became CEO of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta in 2001, I obviously assumed full responsibility for the execution and production of the event. So, a game of that magnitude in Atlanta, having to secure the sponsorships, working with the universities, the teams. We had some great partners with Florida A&M, Tennessee State, both South Carolina State and Southern University participated in the game, along with we had North Carolina A&T participate in the game over the years as well. So, putting that production together really laid the groundwork for the job I have to do here with ESPN. Although it is somewhat different, but the basics of executing, the blocking and tackling, you may say, existed.
Now, I know that you actually travel around the country during the football season. You go to different classics. You go to different big games on the schedule to actually promote the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl. In your travels this past season, how much excitement could you feel based on the anticipation of the Celebration Bowl?
Well, it was new. So last year was really spent just creating awareness among the fan bases. Obviously, the schools, the coaches, the athletic directors had familiarity, but recognizing that this is the first time in the history of HBCUs that we've had this kind of a bowl game, where you really have the champions from our Division I conferences playing each other. Historically, in previous bowls, we had the Heritage Bowl at one point, but the champion from the MEAC, deferred, and they would send their champion to the playoffs for the FCS playoffs, and so the Heritage Bowl would either get the number 2 team versus the number 1 team from SWAC. And then ultimately, SWAC obviously stopped sending its champion, and you were getting second and third level teams in that bowl game. But in the Air Force's Celebration Bowl, we are guaranteed the champions from both conferences. We have a 6-year agreement with the MEAC and the SWAC, with the 4-year option on the end of that. So inevitably 10 years for this, that we have in the agreement for this bowl game.
This is the HBCU Report being heard via Spreaker.com. We are powered by SportsNewsandBrews.com. On the line with us is the Executive Director of the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl, Mr. John Grant, the former president of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. As he just mentioned, very instrumental in the Atlanta Football Classic that ran here for years. I want to say maybe 17, 18 years here in the city. Now, you mentioned that you get the champion from the MEAC and the champion from the SWAC in this game. The SWAC, of course, has the SWAC championship, which is played right now down in Houston, Texas, which is a big-time game. It's an extra game, if you will, on the schedule. But with the MEAC every year it seems that the MEAC, they have this tie at the top. I think this past season it was a 4-way tie. Coming up on this show right here, we actually have Terry Sims, the head football coach of Bethune Cookman. And Bethune Cookman has actually won or a share of the MEAC the last 3 out of 4 in the last 5 of 6 years. And this whole thing with the MEAC, I know how much power ESPN has, Mr. Grant, to get conferences and to get these athletic programs to do certain things. In your opinion, would you like to see a MEAC championship game so that there will be a definitive champion in the MEAC taking on the definitive champion from the Southwestern Athletic Conference?
Well, I think it would, not just myself or ESPN. I think you have coaches and certainly administrators, athletic directors that would like to see that. But the MEAC has one challenge in the fact that, they have an uneven number of schools.
Right.
They have 11 schools with football programs, and so they can't today, have a north and south division because you don't have an even number of schools. The SWAC can do that because there are 10 schools in the SWAC, so they can do an east and west divisions of the SWAC, and certainly that SWAC championship, as you indicated, creates a clear winner or champion of that conference. The MEAC, until they can get an even number of schools, will struggle, I believe, in being able to put something like that together. I don't think it's out of a desire not to have it. It's just that right now the numbers, in my opinion, I certainly won't speak for Commissioner Thomas or who is the commissioner of the MEAC conference or the administrators and presidents and CEOs of the conference, but it just seems that the numbers in terms of eligible programs don't make it viable for now. So, I do believe that once that, occurs, they either pick up an additional school, it will be more likely that they can have a championship game.
Yeah, man. Everybody's been calling for this MEAC championship. And the thing about it is, you have the CIAA, which is right there in MEAC stomping grounds. And I know that, you have teams like Winston-Salem State, that's a powerhouse in the CIAA. They could easily make the move back to the MEAC and compete and make it even. But, we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess. But a couple other things that I wanted to talk to you about, of course, in the world of HBCU sports, football in particular, we have these things called classics. For me, being an alum of Alabama State, we participate in the biggest classic in HBCU sports, the Magic City Classic, which is played in Legion Field in Birmingham. Now, what is the difference, Mr. Grant, between these classics that we know and love and a game like the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl?
Well, there is a difference. Classics have served a critical role in the evolution of football at HBCUs, the culture of football, the essence and spirit of the sport within the HBCU arena. The Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl, though, is different. Classics bring you a lot of rich heritage and tradition, rivalry among, generally schools. There are a lot of them. The majority of them are either intra-state rivalries, or you may have a couple like the Southern Heritage that pits Jackson State against Tennessee State right across the border from each other. But what the bowl game brings, what the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl brings, is something that is unique and new to our culture for HBCU football. This is where classics will give you, you go to a classic game and it's your halftime show is what you go for. It's the entertainment of the bands at halftime. That's not the case at a bowl game. These guys are playing. It's football first, bands second. Classic, you have the reverse. It is bands first, football second.
Mr. Grant, hold on. I don't think the HBCU fans heard you. What did you say? The Celebration Bowl is what first?
It's football first, bands second.
Wow.
keeping in mind that these schools earn the right to participate in a to participate for an opportunity to be called a national